everything's a blur. Why do I not have them on? I don't know. Change. Change is good. Risk is good. Anyway, hello Muse, it's me. Once again, I should be on vocal rest, but I wanted to chat with you, so might be a little bit quiet right now. That's okay. It's all for the show. Speaking of which, what I want to talk about today is a little bit, not esoteric or ethereal, but it's a little odd. It was brought about by a very brief discussion that I had with someone on Facebook. Yes, I know. Avoid the discussions or the comments. So it came about because a theater north of where I am is going to, in their next season, do a production of Cabaret, which we all know how I feel about Cabaret. And they posted it on Facebook, and I instantly responded with, if I were closer, I would love to have another shot at playing the MC because it's one of my favorite roles. So a friend of mine posted in that thread a simple comment. And the comment was, lightning never strikes twice. Lightning never strikes twice. Now I know exactly what he was trying to say with that. And I understand it. And I get it. That every time you do something artistic, it is about that moment. And attempting to recreate a previous moment is impossible. When we did Cabaret, it was a perfect storm. A perfect storm of actors and director and choreographer and band and conductor and audience. And it was the perfect time. And everything came together to make this incredibly magical, wonderful moment in time that I will hold dear in my heart for the rest of my life. And there's a piece of me that knows that if I were to go out and audition for the show again and be cast as the MC once more, there is a chance that that production could not live up to the expectations that were created from the first, which would become a profound disappointment. Could be a profound disappointment. It could also exceed those expectations. But it's a chance that you have to take. And like he said, lightning never strikes twice. He should have said lightning rarely strikes twice. Because I have been in a situation where I was in a show that was workshopped. It was kind of more than workshopped. It was a complete mount of the show. It was a brand new show. And we did it in one space. And then a year or two later, we did it at the Victory Theater on Broadway, New Victory Theater on Broadway. And the second production far exceeded the first production. Now, the first production, of course, had these wonderful memories associated with it and all this. But overall, with not only the fact that it was in New York on Broadway, but the audience reactions were clearly indicated that the second production was superior than the first. So that was an instance where lightning did strike twice. But it's rare. Now, I know that one of the things that I feel very strongly about is that not just theater, but the written word is a product of a moment. It is defined by where you are in your head and your heart at that time, where you've come from, where you're growing to, and all of the things in your life that come together to make up who you are in that moment. And to attempt to recreate that later would do yourself a disservice. Let me give you an example. Back when I was writing Frankenstein Theory, it was during a period of time where my father got really sick and passed away. And I distinctly remember I was at the hospital with him, and we all knew that it was only a matter of minutes or hours before he was going to be gone. And I was hanging out in the waiting room, and it was really late, and I was wanting to get some sleep. And I had my laptop with me. And I thought, let's just get my mind off things, and I'll try to write some in Frankenstein Theory. And it just so happens I opened up my laptop, and the scene that I was about to write was the scene where Frankenstein resurrected the monster. And I read that, what I had written before, and I got to the cursor, and I wanted to write something, and I couldn't. I couldn't because of the scene that I was about to write reminded me too much about what I was facing in real life. And so I closed it, and I tried my best to get some sleep. And the next night, I left the hospital and I came back home, and I was able to write. And the experiences that I had at the hospital with my father helped, kind of guided me in that scene. That scene would not have been what it is had it not been for what I had gone through. In fact, the entire book was partially defined by the fact that my father passed away. Thankfully, I'll never have to go through that again. Well, I mean, I shouldn't say thankfully, because I would love that if my father were alive today. But thankfully, I don't have to go through the loss of another parent, because both of them are gone. But there are other things that I have to go through. Good things, bad things, everything in between. And those are the bits and pieces that help to define who I am in that moment. Now, there have been brief periods where I have thought, why not go back to, say, Blade Away, which is the first book I ever had published. Go back to that and revisit it. Maybe even give it a fresh coat of paint, give it some rewriting, because my skills have improved exponentially since those early days. And then I start reading it, and I think, I can't do that. I can't change this text, because it is what it is, defined by who I was at that period, and I'm not that person anymore. I have changed. Not only have my skills changed, but the filters in which I see things have changed. My outlook has changed. My preferences have changed. Everything about me, except like my height, my eye color, my hair. Well, my hair color's changed a little bit too. This scar on my mouth that I got when I was a little kid, chomping into a TV cord and getting electrocuted, and it melted half of my mouth, or side of my mouth, corner of my mouth. I'll get it right eventually. Those things haven't changed. But so much of me has changed. And if I were to go back and rewrite those early books, they wouldn't be the same. They wouldn't have the same innocence and dare I say, youthful outlook, but that's not really the case. And I would be doing you, Muse, a disservice, and my art a disservice by making those changes. And because of what my friend said, that lightning doesn't strike twice, I could very easily go back and rewrite those books and change them in such a way that they are no longer effective anymore, that they don't have that they're not as good, because even though my skills have gotten better, I would be introducing a variable into the book that doesn't belong. And so I leave all of my old books alone, even though I think, yeah, they could really use it. But then again, can they? Maybe not. The truth of the matter is that artists are always a work in progress. We are never complete. We are never finished. We are never satisfied. And if we are complete, finished, or satisfied, it may be time to look in the mirror and say, maybe I need to be doing something different. Because in all of the various and sundry art forms that I have ever worked with, I have never been completely satisfied, because I always think I can do better. And so when I think about the possibility of doing cabaret again, I think if I were given another chance, I could do better. Even though I had people coming to me after the show saying, that was perfect. It wasn't perfect. There were certainly things I could do better. There are always things I could do better. And so, yes, there is a part of me that says, maybe lightning doesn't strike twice, but a different kind of lightning can strike again. And I think it is that frame of mind that every artist needs to approach their work with, that a different kind of lightning will strike. Otherwise, if you're writing a series of books, if you decide that I'm going to write this series, and you write the first book, and the first book is magical. If you start thinking, well, lightning can't strike again, then why bother trying to write the second book? Because even though that same lightning might not strike, in fact, you don't want that same lightning to strike again. You want a different lightning. You want a lightning of a different color, of different intensity, a different width, a different height, a difference in every possible way. You want that new lightning to strike that new book, even though it's in a series. And you want to still capture what you discovered in that first one. So you should always approach your art as if a new bolt of lightning will strike it. And never, ever let yourself get trapped under the weight of the idea that lightning doesn't strike twice. Because if you do that, you're going to do something once, and that's it. And then there are shows in my past that I would love to do again. I would love to do Amadeus again. I would love to do Cabaret again. I would love to do Midsummer Night's Dream again. There are a whole slew of them. I've done hundreds of shows, but there are plenty of them that I would like to do again for various and sundry reasons. But in some cases, it's just to feel that special flavor of magic that I received from that show. Whether or not that original lightning can strike is beside the point, because a different lightning can always appear from the ether. See what I'm saying, Muse? And yes, Muse, you are my lightning. It all comes from you. Why, Muse? Because you, my friend, are awesome.